gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome to our weekly Q&A live stream where you've guessed it by now, take your questions and give you my answers. It's one of my favourite times of the week because we actually get to, discuss a few different topics, go over a variety of things, and most importantly, hear what you guys have to say, because when I sit down to do the videos every day, I'm sure you get sick of hearing the same old shite. So it's nice to be with you on this beautiful Tuesday evening here in Glasgow. The weather is gorgeous. In fact, it's around 15 degrees right now. It's 7 o'clock at night, which is absolutely stunning. And if you're watching this from Australia or something, you're probably laughing at that. But that's summer for us, essentially. So, and it's maybe snowing next week, so I've heard. So I'm enjoying it while I can. And that's the main thing. But good evening to everybody. It's nice to see some of you piling in the chat already. Diane, Paul, Cam, Mackenzie, who's saying it's only 2 days into the school holidays and he's bored already. Well, God forbid you find yourselves here because it's going to get even more boring. And Cal as well. Now, hello. Make sure to drop some comments, some questions as the stream goes on. Let's just get tucked right into things, shall we? It's a quiet day at Celtic. Not a lot of news coming out today, not a lot of stories to discuss. We're still very much living in the fallout of Sunday's defeat to St Johnstone up at McDiarmid Park, and a lot of what's out there is in relation to that game. But we don't have any new transfer stories or rumours to talk about. We don't have any stories in relation to the weekend to talk about, or team selection, or injuries, or anything like that. We're very much living in a point in time now where it's just, I think it's just about bobbling on to the next game. The league is won. The cup game isn't for another couple of weeks almost. So, it's a very weird time. It's that kind of boring stage of the season, but Celtic can't treat it like that. The players can't treat it like that. And the fans, as much as I'm sitting here saying it's a boring point in the season, yeah, for me making YouTube videos it might be, but it still means that Celtic have a job to do. And that's the big problem that people have picked up on over these last couple of weeks. The fact that Celtic have been playing as if there isn't something to play for. There is a bit of complacency in our game, or we can be lenient with how we go out there. That needs to change, and that has been the dominating talking point of the last 48 hours since we finished up business, losing business, I should say, in Perth. So, as I say, a quiet day in terms of news. There was an interview with Callum McGregor that came out surrounding Celtic's current form, when he has urged his teammates to snap out of it. He says that Celtic need to get back on track. He said, "My role as captain is trying to guard against as much complacency as possible. It's trying to get the most out of players, trying to lead by example of the senior players when we get to the pitch. We have to drive the intensity of the whole thing, which, to be fair, in the main, we've done really well. It's obviously a sore one to lose in this game. Sometimes football's got a funny way of keeping you honest, and with so much football to be played, then it's a little reminder that you have to be on it every single minute of every single game. We have to shake out of it. Everybody's talking. You hear the noise of when you're going to win the league. We have to perform to make sure we get it over the line." So he's urged his players, his fellow teammates, to snap out of it. And that's obviously one of the things that we will probably discuss throughout the stream when I get your points and questions. We're going to come on to them in a minute. A couple of other wee stories that have came up in the past couple of days. Alan Muir has stepped down from his position in the SFA. His career as one of the full-time VAR referees is over. Stephen McGowan broke that story under an hour ago now, actually, saying that he has stepped down after the blunders that he has suffered over these past few weeks. And of course that big one that came up with Celtic a few weeks ago, it's not exactly ideal. Big errors with Celtic and Rangers. He's stepping down. God knows who the replacement is going to be, but that's one of the other big stories that came out tonight. Not much else to talk about in that story. I mean, I don't know Alan Muir personally. I think the SFA are hopeless anyway. But yeah, aside from that, yeah, pretty quiet. I did see that the Daily Record are trying to link Hodgson-Edouard with Celtic once again, with the whole situation that's happening down in Leicester. But to be honest, I think it's a non-starter. I don't see anything happening with Hodgson-Edouard and Celtic anytime soon. I don't necessarily think Celtic should be going for Hodgson-Edouard anytime soon. I love the guy, and I was gutted to see him go. And I was one of the guys here on YouTube that was talking about how I'd love to see him back one day. But his form the last couple of years doesn't exactly warrant Celtic going in for him. So, listen, you'll see that flying around a lot, I think, over the next couple of months, especially as Leicester are set to go down. But I wouldn't read too much into it at all. As I said, I do think it's a non-starter. Anyway, we've got to talk about Celtic's form. We've got to talk about a number of different things. So get your questions and points in. I want to try and cover it all. We've got around 25 minutes tonight to try and get around to all of these. So let's have a look, shall we? We've got Celtic News saying, Celtic News 33 saying, what's your thoughts on McCowan? Because I still think he's brilliant, but seeing a lot of people saying he'll never be Celtic quality. That's something that I've actually seen a lot recently as well, especially as the form has sort of dipped a wee bit. And honestly, all I'll say is I think that it just comes along with the form dipping. I think it's just fans getting a little bit impatient and reactionary. Luke McCowan a few months ago was somebody who we were all delighted to have here. I'm still delighted to have here. I had my reservations when we were first linked with him. I was wondering if he could make the step up from Dundee to Celtic, if it was at the stage of his career where it was maybe too late to take that huge step. But he came in and he settled so well, and I was happy when we signed him, and I was happy to see him play. I still am. He's not the only person who hasn't looked good enough recently. So I think that those concerns about him maybe not being Celtic quality are perhaps warranted, but it all comes as part of that package of insecurity at the minute around the kind of form that this team is in. So I don't think it's necessarily something that we should worry about too much right now. Listen, he will be here next season, Luke McCowan. I'm very confident of that. Sorry, it's roasting. I needed a drink. I'm very, very confident that Luke McCowan will still be a Celtic player next season. And that's all that really matters right now. But I think that's once again just part of the hysteria that surrounds some of our bad results at the minute. Any transfer news? Nah, none at all really, apart from what we've already reported on the channel. There isn't too much else at the minute, Mackenzie. There is rumours flying around about Greg Taylor and potentially going to Rangers. We did talk about this on the podcast, I believe, on Thursday. This isn't new. These rumours have been flying for the last sort of 7 to 10 days, and I don't think there'll be anything in that at all. I think they're just rumours, and rumours love picking up steam via their WhatsApp channels or what else. There has never ever been a Celtic player who's directly moved to Rangers or vice versa, ever. It's never happened, and I don't think it's going to start with Greg Taylor. I don't think that he's willing to do. Greg Taylor is someone who has just had a child, and I don't think he could be bothered with the hassle that comes with it, because there is people, of course, who take things too far. I don't think there's any truth in that situation or that rumour at all. And in fact, it's not even like they're prevalent rumours. They are like very quietly bubbling away. So yeah, I don't think that Greg Taylor will be going to Rangers in the summer. I don't think he could be arsed with that hassle. I really don't. So do I think he'll go there? No, I don't. I don't think he'll go to Rangers. I think that ultimately he could probably find a better contract at a better team. Why on earth would he want to downgrade from the side that is, even if he was a boyhood Rangers fan, right? Let's just call it how it is for a minute, right? Let's just take everything out, money and everything else out of the equation. Why on earth would he want to trade in winning trebles with Celtic to winning nothing with Rangers? It would make no sense. It would make absolutely no sense. So no, I don't think that Greg Taylor will be a Rangers fan. A Rangers player next season. Hello, I'm an Aberdeen fan. I'd like to see you can win the league on Sunday if score goes the right way. I think that we can essentially become champions, but I don't think we can mathematically. I think it would be like 15 points, and I think that still mathematically, even though the goal difference is insurmountable, I think that's what happens. No, wait, even at that, no. It would be 16. I don't know. I've not heard anybody talk about that, actually. I'd have to go and do the maths myself. I've not thought about it, to be honest. I've just kind of put it out the back of my head since the St Johnstone game. You know, we've kind of been sleepwalking to the title, as Hammy has said in the bottom of the chat. But, you know, we're still going to win it. It doesn't really matter when at this point. If I had to sell one player, who would it be? I don't know. I'm not one for wanting to drive players out the door unless they really deserve it. Luis Palma? I don't know. He's still technically a player. I want every Celtic player to succeed here. And there's, you know, what, Tony Ralston maybe. I don't know. I don't know. It's one of those questions that I don't fancy the answer to. Is there any chance that Ida leaves? No, no chance. And neither he should. See the Ayer linked, any truth in that? I would be stunned. I don't think so. He's still at a decent age, on a decent wage. and I just don't see him coming back to Celtic. I just don't. They would want money. He'd want money. And I don't think that's money we're willing to spend, to be quite honest. So I doubt there's any truth in it. We did talk about those rumours in a live stream a couple of weeks ago, but I really, yeah, I would ground yourself if you have any hope of Christopher Ayer potentially returning to Celtic. I think you've got to look at things with a sense of realism, and there's no realism in that, I don't think. Here's a good one from Brogan. Honestly, I think Kuhn needs to be benched next weekend. It's disappeared. Because recently he's been rubbish, and we need to give Yang a chance to start. I agree. And I love Nicholas Kuhn, and I think that the criticism he's faced recently has been warranted. Some over the top. Some people are wanting to see him sold. Bizarre stuff. After being one of our top players of the season. But yeah, on that note, I think that I said this a few weeks ago. I said that after we cleared the quarter-final of the Cup in the Rangers Derby game, that we should probably see Yang start more. And yeah, I'm surprised he's not started more since. Although I think Kuhn played well against Hearts last week. I'll stand by that. I thought he played well, but is it enough to mask the poor performances that we've seen of him since the Munich game away from home? Probably not. So, yeah, I think Yang should be starting some games, a run of games between now and the end of the season, and I think that Kuhn should be dropped. Because you have to reward the players who are in good form, and you have to punish the players who aren't. That's that. Right, let's skip down. So we've got a couple of donations. Sean, I hope this wasn't an accident. It looks, because you've left the same comment twice, and I'm worried that you've accidentally donated $20 Aussie instead of just a 10, Sean. Nonetheless, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much. Remember, you can donate. Your comment will be prioritised if you do. Sean saying that realistically, you can't expect 100% performances when the league is almost won. Our support are such whinges. It's the reason we don't play the youth team when the league is won. Wow. A very different take on things from Sean. Usually people screaming and shouting in the comments about how we should be expecting 100% performances when the league is won. I mean, you've got to balance. I've said this. I mean, if you watched my video yesterday, everybody here in the chat, Sean included, whoever, I said it yesterday. Look, you don't need to be extreme on either side. I think that there is a sense of expectation that's surrounding Celtic at the minute that we've set ourselves. And that comes back to bite you sometimes when you don't play well enough. But we don't need to be extreme on either side. We have had such a magnificent season, and we shouldn't let a wee dry patch towards the end turn the narrative of the campaign. You know, if we end this season with a treble, which is still an incredibly big chance of doing so, I mean, what are we going to care about this wee run of form that we had in the middle? No, I'm never going to look back in 10 years' time and go, oh, see that treble? It would have been great if we didn't lose a couple of games. You know, a treble's a treble. But I do understand the criticism, and I do agree with it. We do need to be better. But, Sean, you're right in a sense, 100% every week. We want it. Is it possible? No, sometimes the standards do slip. But we can't let that happen. If it happens, it happens. But we can't let it happen, especially more than once. But thank you for the donation, Sean. I really do appreciate it. Appreciate it a lot. A lot of people talking about bloody Taylor to Rangers for some reason. Listen, I am willing to put something on the line to say that Greg Taylor will not be a Rangers player next season. I don't know where this rumour's even spawned from. Do you know what I'm going to Google right now, Greg Taylor. Where's it came from? I'm willing to put like money on the line that Greg Taylor will not be at Rangers next season. I mean, Premier Sports have been talking about it. Darryl Curry's wee show, they were talking about it there. BBC are now reporting it as well. As it came, I don't know what's that controversial. Football Insider. That's where it's came from. Seriously. Football Insider. Jesus God Almighty. How many times do I have to tell people that Football Insider is like the worst? I mean, Peter Rourke isn't the worst, to be fair, who is one of the transfer correspondents and the one that did this story exclusively, but I am willing to bet that Greg Taylor will not be at Rangers next season. I did say the same thing about Kyogo. Then things happen very, very quickly, but nonetheless. Celtic News 33, thank you for the donation. What have you made of Sinsalo? Gone under the radar, but I think he's been decent. Listen, he's done what he's had to do. He obviously was unlucky at the weekend to concede that goal, but the defence wasn't good enough from the set piece. St Johnson scored from it. We are punished. You can't put the blame on that to Vinny Sinsalo. Look, Vinny Sinsalo's had very little to do in his games playing for Celtic so far, hasn't he? Let's be real. Against Raith Rovers, he didn't face a single shot. Against Hearts, I think he faced one. They made a good save. But there's obviously a lot more that comes from it. You're talking about being able to play the ball out. The one thing that I noticed about him at McDiarmid Park, I was up there on Sunday. I was at the game. But the one thing I noticed from the stands was how quick he was. He was really quick to get the game going again, and I like that. But in terms of his actual goalkeeping ability, we've not seen him properly tested yet. I'm really excited to see him. And some people might be going, "Oh my God, you're excited for the derby after the last two?" Maybe not, but. I'm excited to see how he does in a game like that, in a derby where he has to face a lot of chances, because I'm pretty certain that he will probably play in that at this point. So we'll judge him more there. But Celtic News, thank you for the donation, and I think he has been decent so far. I don't have any bad words to say about him, put it that way, and that's always a good start. That is a good start to his Celtic career. Brogan, another thing is, I think Nawrocki needs to start a lot more now that we've basically won the league, and he needs to take advantage of his good form in the last 2 matches that he started. I hate saying this aloud, and people are going to hate me for this after his last couple of games. He will not be a Celtic player next year. I'm almost certain of it. Mike Nawrocki will probably be gone next season. Hence the reason he's probably not going to play between now and the end of the season that much. And people will go, Ryan, you can't say that. I'm not saying I want that to happen. I'm just saying that seems to be the situation. That's the situation that I'm painting together. And honestly, I mean, if Rodgers doesn't want him, or they don't think he's good enough and they want to get a better player in, I'm fine with that. Because at the end of the day, there is only 25 spots in this team when it comes to European competition. And Mike Nawrocki, is he good enough to be one of those spots? I don't know. Because I've not seen enough of him. I would like to see him between now and the end of the season. I would. But I just don't think it will happen. I don't think it will happen. And I think there's probably a reason for it. Because he's off. Cal, hello Cal. I think we missed Kyogo. Maybe not stats-wise, but I feel like we haven't clicked since he left. I think a lot of people aren't really thinking about that. I think a lot of people are probably just looking at Dyson and how good he's been and forgetting how important and influential Kyogo was, not only to scoring goals, but just the general involvement of his play. And what he'd done in that final third to draw out opposition players, to create the space, to be part of link-up play. I think a lot of people are forgetting how big that is. And I think that's, maybe a underlying part of the problem that has caused Celtic to dip a little bit in these last couple months. But we haven't spoke about it just because of how good Maid has been. But I think you're right, Cal. I think that is a point that we're not talking about that much, that Kyogo missing from the team has probably made a difference to our attacking style of play. I think you're right, Cal. I agree with you, to be honest. Let's go down a little bit. What are the odds that the next derby game will be scheduled as the penultimate game of the season? Probably quite. I think they'll want to do anything to stop Celtic from what. Well, the league should be done by the Ibrox visit. No, it won't be the penultimate game because the penultimate game's a midweek, isn't it? Penultimate's a midweek. I think it'll probably be the third game of the split. The third out of the 5. That's what I'd put my money on anyway. I need to scroll down the chat a little bit. I listen. This is the thing we need to stop ourselves from doing. Really just hope there isn't a total. This is something I want to talk on that I didn't talk about in my video yesterday. And this isn't targeted towards you, Celtics, until you've just reminded me of something I wanted to say and I left it in my video. I hope it's not a total car crash. I don't get how a couple of bad games mean that there's a car crash coming, first of all. But one thing that I do want to address, and this is something I've just been reminded of, is all these people going, "Oh, we're so lucky Rangers are shite. Oh, we're so lucky that the opposition's terrible. And if they were better, blah blah blah." And then Rangers fans going, "Oh, if we just won all those games we lost, we would be fucking challenging for the title right now." Give yourself peace. And that goes to Celtic fans as well. Give yourself peace. Do you think that Celtic would be playing like this if there was 3 points in it? It's fucking swings and roundabouts. Nobody knows what the situation would be. Guess what? We're 13 points clear for a reason. And if a lot of that's down to Rangers being shite, a lot of it's also down to how good we are, because we could be that shite. And I think a lot of people are forgetting that. As I said the other day, I feel like there's an aspect of this Celtic team that we've seen in the second half of last season especially, that thrives under pressure. So to turn around and go, "Oh, we're so lucky Rangers are shite," we would not be seeing things the way they're unfurling right now if there was a fucking title race on our hands. It's just fact. Like, it's not even opinion, it's fact. Do you think we'd be approaching games the way we're approaching them if we knew there was a fucking league title on the line? Of course not. So it's just we're so lucky Rangers are shite. Wind your fucking neck in, Christ, and pardon my French. You know, it was something I wanted to bring up that I kept seeing all weekend. And I don't think there's any cause for concern about going into next season. There is cause for concern, but not like, oh, this is it, we're going to bottle the league next year or anything like that. No, we need to bring in some freshness to the team. We need to reevaluate a couple of wee things to make sure the stale side of football goes away. But we'll be fine, and history dictates we'll be fine. What do you think has to change going forward under Rodgers? Maybe a formation change back to a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-4-2 diamond. I'm not a tactician, mate. I think that the shape that Celtic play in is good, but I'll tell you what is missing. A Matt O'Reilly. That is what's missing. I love Arne Engels, and I know he's been coming under a lot of stick recently. And I get why. Because on the eye he hasn't been great, and he's really kind of dipped down a wee bit in the last couple of weeks. But I think we're missing that natural attacking midfielder who really does bridge the play between the final third and the midfield. I think that's what's missing. I don't think that there needs to be a big overhaul in the formation or anything like that. Ultimately, in this day and age, formations mean as little as... They don't mean all that much, and I might sound ridiculous to say, but when you watch any top football team now, you can't really, if you look at the average formation, players are all over the place. You know, like we've got fucking inverted fullbacks who are basically centre midfielders, we've got wingers who are playing alongside the striker. Like, formations are so hard to paint a picture of nowadays. I don't think it's as simple as going, right, let's make it a 4-4-2 diamond. But I think that Brendan Rodgers needs to bring in a couple of players next year to maybe kind of exaggerate areas in which we've been lacking. And I think attacking midfield is maybe one of those areas that we just need a little bit of pace in there, a little bit of quality in there, just to maybe bring out the best in the likes of Rio Hatate or Arne Engels, because I think naturally they like to be a little bit deeper, rather than being a proper attacking, almost a centre forward of a midfielder. But yeah. Adam, Creed rankings were scandalous, man. By any chance, do you know any semi-final spares? Love you, brother. I don't know of any semi-final spares, sadly. Not at this current moment in time. And your Creed rankings were scandalous, right? Yours were terrible. You had literally the worst order you could have, and I'll hear no different. The first Creed is the best Creed by a mile, by a country mile, and the third one is mince. No mince, it's okay, it's fine. But in comparison to the best Creeds and the best Rockies, it's mince. Sly Stallone wasn't even fucking in it. Right, sorry boys, we're getting a bit carried away. I need to scroll down a little bit. If you want me to say something, or want me to get to something, you remember, just keep spamming it in, or you can donate and we'll get to it. Alistair Jack, hiya, all just to say, love the channel and you guys need to stop pissing the bed. I agree, Alistair. Love you, mate. Thank you for being a member for 6 months. You've been following this channel for years, Alistair, and your support never goes undermined. Trust me. Nathan, hello, my Twitter rival. Where do you stand on Trusty? He's been decent in Europe. I still think he's too slow on the ball. Have him the benefit of the doubt coming from Sheffield United, but still not convinced. I touched on Trusty in my video at the weekend, and I've been very vocal about my support and my like for Austin Trusty throughout the season, Nathan. And I still think he's a good player, but recently he's not been doing a lot to keep me convinced, and I did say that at the weekend. And you used the phrase benefit of the doubt. I'd like to give him the benefit of the doubt that at the weekend was his first game back in a while. He was out with an injury, but he looked like he was towing a tractor. He looked really slow, really sloppy, on the ball and off the ball. He just looked like he was a yard behind, and we can't afford that when it comes to centre-halves in Scotland, because to attack Celtic, you need to attack them with pace. And if he can't keep up with certain strikers, then that's going to be a problem. But his performances in Europe have been blockbuster for us at times this season, and I do believe that there's a cracking centre half in there. He just needs to... I think he's one of the players that Rodgers is talking about maybe rocking up and expecting an easy game, and maybe he's just came up from Sheffield United and came to Celtic, had that shock of being in a team that's winning every week and going, it's a piss take, this. But that won't be good enough. I don't think that, personally, I don't think that is his personality. I think he's a winner, and I think he wants to be at his best every week. But there could be an element of that. I think that for a first season, there's certainly elements of his game he needs to work on, Nathan. I'm not totally convinced, but I'm a big fan of him. So we'll see where things go from there next year. I have a feeling that Celtic will try and sign another centre-half next year. to be quite honest. I think that we could see maybe Trusty slotting into being a backup and being one of those players that if he gets a good bit of form going off the bench or through an injury for somebody, we might see him come back in. But I think that Brendan Rodgers, deep down, will know that there's still an improvement that can be done there. 6 million. At what stage in football is 6 million going to become a backup price for a player at Celtic? That's what you've got to ask yourself. I would not agree with that at all, Baldy Prick. And I love you, mate, but I wouldn't agree at all. I don't think happy clapping is like when you're in the middle of the COVID season and you had fans saying that Lenny was doing a fine job and it was unlucky and whatever, and we were genuinely falling apart. I don't think you can be a so-called happy clapper when you're. I think that I'm going to sound like Neil Lennon. I think that sense of entitlement comes along and creeps into Celtic fans when you start saying folk are happy clapping on course to a treble. And maybe that's my controversial Celtic opinion, but I don't see how happy clapping is. Let me just get the league table up for a minute. Hold on. We won the League Cup. We've only lost 4 games in the league this season. We're on track for a treble. We had our best European campaign in a decade. I don't think happy clapping exists. And you might be calling me ignorant for that, but I genuinely don't. I'm sorry. It's like sometimes I go, everybody's entitled to their opinion, and I do believe that. If you're not happy, you're not happy. But I wouldn't begrudge anybody for saying they were delighted with this season, because you should be. I think, especially if we win the treble. Christ Almighty, when I was 10, 11, 12 years old, I dreamed of Celtic winning trebles because I never had one. And I never had the last Celtic hadn't won a treble in my conscious lifetime until I was 16. You know, they won it in 2001, didn't they, with O'Neill? I don't remember that. I was 1 year old. So I basically went through my entire lifetime without Celtic winning a treble. And actually, there's some Celtic fans who probably went, you know, even longer without seeing winning a treble, considering it took us from 1969 till 2001 to win a treble. So I get that we can be critical and we can be concerned, but I genuinely don't think the term happy clapper is fair to use when we are enjoying some of the success that we're enjoying. Maybe that's my controversial Celtic opinion. Let's see. We've got about 5 more minutes, so let's get a few more questions. We have over 200 live viewers, by the way. I appreciate you guys so much. Please go down below, hit like, hit subscribe. I would really appreciate that because we're so close to 50,000 subscribers. We will become the first Celtic fan-led channel on YouTube to hit 50k if we do it soon. In fact, we're probably going to do it, but still, you guys are just the best. So thank you so much. I would agree. Rio, I seen a comment about Rio. Brooklyn said Rio's been really poor. Really poor is maybe a stretch. I think he can do better. I think he can do a lot better, but I think we've seen players play far worse. Have you watched any of KT for Arsenal in recent weeks? Seems he's in good form, and a few Arsenal fans wondering why. Yeah, I have, and he's been magic for them at times. The Arsenal fans are rightly devastated that they're letting him come back up here, and they seem to be of the same opinions that he's the best left back at the club. So good for us, and he looks as though he's keeping himself in good shape. He's been, touch wood, you know, fine with injuries at the minute. So wrap him in bubble wrap between now and the end of the season, please, Arsenal, because that would be appreciated. And if is there Scotland games during the summer, there is. Don't even fucking take him, Steve Clark. Right? Don't even take him. Hello, Elliot. Good to see you, mate. For me, as much as the players have been poor, it's been a few games since the turn of the year we got our tactics so wrong. Yesterday, the Hibs game, Rangers, because we know Brendan can get it right. Yeah, it's just a number of things that are generally mind-boggling, I would say. Oh, did my stream kind of cut there? I seen like a loading symbol come up. There's a few things that have been mind-boggling. The 2 Rangers games especially are... And this is the thing, it's crazy because we're in a situation where I think if we didn't bugger up those Rangers games as much as we did, we wouldn't be having these conversations. But we did. So we were having these conversations for a reason. But it must be eating away at... It clearly is eating away at Rodgers because we've seen his reaction after the game on Sunday. He was fuming. And when Rodgers is fuming, you know that something is up and something needs to change. So I hope that he just inspires that change, ultimately. Because, well, he's the man that leads it all. So thank you, Stuart, for the 4 months of support. I really appreciate it, sir. Thank you. Apparently, Maida came off the other day due to an injury. You seen anything about it? I have heard nothing to do with Maida being injured. No, nothing's been said about him being injured. When he went off, he ran off the park as if he was fine. I don't think he's injured, Paul. I don't know where you've heard it, but I don't think he is. And if he is, then we won't know officially till like Friday probably, because Brendan Rodgers does his presser then. Right, a couple more comments and then I'm going to wrap things up for tonight. So get anything in that you enjoy. I think this is one I agree 100%, Alistair. And I think it was Nathan who's watching who was arguing. I seen when I was on the way back from Perth and I was scrolling Twitter, I was just seeing what everybody was saying. I think I seen Nathan arguing with a few people about Hatate and his performance. Nathan being very pro Hatate. But Rio's going to be one of those players that when he leaves, people are going to go, oh man, we miss him so much. It's going to happen. Of course it's going to happen. He's been a magic player for us and he's had his ups and downs. There's been times when I've been very annoyed with Rio Hatate because I know he could be better. But I know for a fact that people are going to go, oh, we miss him. We miss him when he goes. I just know it. I just know it for a fact. I'll finish on this one from Elliot because I like this as a question to finish off. What would be my front three for the next game? Is Yang injured, by the way? I don't think so. Once again, don't know where all these injury rumours are coming from. But I don't think so. What would your front three for the next game be? Yang. Honestly, Yang, Ida and Maida. And that's, people go, oh, he's dropping Jota. I'm not dropping Jota out of any fucking, I'm not saying that he needs to go or anything like that. No, I just think that, here's my justification for why that would be my front three in the next game. Yang, because Kuhn's not been good enough. So I think Yang deserves a start. And I think that we all kind of agree that Yang should be started. Ida, I think, was one of the better players on the pitch on Sunday when he came on. I think that he really tried to inspire change in the game. And I mean, he could have set up the goal. The Forest missed. And honestly, I just thought that I liked what I saw of Ida when he came off the bench on Sunday. I really did. And I think that we need to give Ida a couple of starts between now and the end of the season to try and inspire some confidence in his game. So I would go for Yang, Ida, and then Maida in the left-hand side, back in his natural position. I'm not dropping Jota out of any spite or net for any negative reasons. I think he can be better, don't get me wrong. But it's just because I think that, well, that's the three that I would start, personally. So, aye. Right, on that note, I'm going to wrap things up. The Champions League is on tonight, so I hope you're all going to enjoy yourself. I'd just like to give a quick shout out to those who donated tonight. Sean and Celtic News 33, thank you so much for your donations, lads. It is very much appreciated. It means that I can continue to do this as my full-time job. So, thank you. Right, if you've enjoyed, make sure to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.